Hello, everybody in the stream. And I guess hello, anybody who watches the stream afterwards. Most of the time I stream over on the Historian and they get deleted afterwards. But this is the kind of stream that stays up afterwards. So I guess a word of warning for anybody watching this afterwards. There's a lot of swearing in these kind of streams if you're coming over from the Historian channel. So just be aware, especially since probably once I start to pick up steam and get ranting, it's going to get a little bit crazy, right? Like, not too crazy. Admittedly, getting to rant some earlier did help to kind of twist the release valve a little, but, you know, once I start getting into it, it might get a little bit heated, right? I was able to keep it in when I was doing my video today. And actually, I realized what I should have done was do a stream ranting first and then do the video so that I could get people to understand what I was saying more easily, right? Instead of them hearing me worked up. But anyways, I'm going to say hello to everybody that's in here and then we'll start to complain about new Capenna, all right? It's funny, some people are like, yo, I hope you learn to love magic again or whatever. And it's like, learn to love magic again? It's like, dude, I really enjoy this game. I don't like a bunch of stuff that's going on with this set, and I'm worried that by extension, over time, this will lead to the game failing. So it's like, I just really like the game and don't want it to fail. So in terms of like, I hope you learn to love magic, if that means I have to just blindly love everything, well, I'll never be that. I can't, right? Anyways, let us do the hellos. What up? Sulfurous randomness. Oh, Andrew G with the super chat. Thanks, buddy. Devil Dueler, Tyler, Damien, Joku, Metazul, is Vanden. Who else we got in here? We got Goddard, Namias, Dark Elder, Dragon Dave, Pyre, Fat Man, Everyday. There we go. There are the hellos. And Andrew G, thanks for the super chat, buddy. So basically, like, my experience with New Capenna originally was half decent. Do you know what I mean? Like, when I started, I wasn't immediately like, yo, I do not like New Capenna. I went into it going, okay, I was wrong about Kamigawa. When I heard about Kamigawa, like, what, a year and a half ago, something like that, I thought it was going to be the worst thing ever. I was like, this is going to be the worst thing. It's going to be worse than Kaladesh. And ultimately, I didn't really like the mechs that much. But Kamigawa was like, all right. I mean, but New Capenna is for some reason even more jarring, almost in a way that I haven't really put my finger 100% on, which is another reason that I should have done a stream as opposed to just a video. 10 minutes to cram all my thoughts into a video when I haven't taken enough time to filter them out doesn't lead to the best results, ultimately, in terms of, like, cohesiveness. It still resonates with people because there's the cathartic nature of when you don't like something and other people don't like something, they're like, yeah, hey, we both don't like the same thing. But when you can express it effectively, that's even better, right? Because the people who agree with you are like, hey, I agree with those reasons. You're putting my thoughts into words. And other people are like, yo, I can make sense of this because I know that in today's video, there were some points that people just weren't picking up on. So I'm gonna go over all of my nitpicks, all of that shit when it comes to this, right? So some people are just going to be like, hey, whatever. Some of it doesn't matter. I don't really give a shit. It's like, I don't want all of this kind of crammed into random videos because it doesn't need to be there and doesn't add much. So this is a great way to organize it. So yeah, I mean, your Sonic Hog, you are correct. The setting definitely seems out of place. But that's the thing, is it doesn't, like, I'm not averse to Magic trying new world concepts. I'm not a fan of the flavor. Like, the idea of a mobster Magic set is wonky to me, right? It's wonky. You go, okay, I mean, whatever. There's lots of different ways to do the crime aspect. They had the Orzhov in Ravnica, and they had the crime aspect in a half-decent capacity, where it's like, okay, you got some cool ideas. You'd, like, basically make people's souls work for you after they're dead and whatever. Like, they're a pretty nefarious organization. But New Capenna, the problem really boils down to, it feels like it's a lazy lack of effort boils into most of the issues that I take with the set. I have accepted that Magic the Gathering will go to different settings and will include things from outside the normal world of Magic. And I know that I don't find it jarring when playing with the cards because we played with the cube. Like, I went to the game shop and played with the cube, and it has a bunch of secret lair stuff in there, including the very much world-breaking, what is it? Come on now. Walking Dead cards, right? I have the Walking Dead cards in there. Some of that stuff came out. But we were just playing Magic, having a good time, and it just felt normal and fine. So I was just like, okay, ultimately, cards that aren't, like, in the world of Magic aren't going to ruin Magic for me. On top of that, Kamigawa, which I really expected to be a hardcore, massive cyber insanity set, turned out to be not quite as nutty. And I'm like going into Capenna going, all right, but the more we go into it, the less I feel rewarded. I come from the perspective of somebody who gives a shit about the lore and the story, and I'm going to pay attention to everything that you're giving me here. And it's incredibly frustrating to have what feels like just stapled together style set from the flavors perspective, and I mean obviously from the set perspective as well. When you look at the cards, it's just a bunch of dudes in suits in rooms. And I know people will be like, hey, every set has this sort of homogenous nature to the art. And that is true about current times. You go back to stuff like Amonkhet. I've been having conversations with people in the comments and stuff. You go back to Amonkhet, you have a level of this homogeneousness. But there's just, it's unexciting and everyday as well. And it's just like everybody has to be in set and period piece. And I get that that is part of setting the world. But at the same time, it's just like, everybody just like, here's another cat person in a suit. Here's another lizard like people don't feel distinct. The legendary characters don't feel particularly distinct from the non-legendary characters. Like, but from a story perspective, you can tell that they decided they were going to have a mobster set and just shoved it in the middle. They've got this overarching kind of storyline that we're doing, right? Where we're following the Phyrexians. And it has some interesting hype elements. Like, there's some cool stuff going on. The idea of New Phyrexia coming back is a cool concept, right? It's like, oh, okay, we haven't seen the Phyrexians in forever. They're big villains. Okay, we're in Kaldheim. All of a sudden, we've got Vorinclex here. We've got a bit of a mystery. And more Praetors start showing up. Okay, what's going on? And then you have a really interesting story moment tacked on to a set that Kamigawa wasn't terribly interesting to me based on the story. I couldn't really get that much into the story because I found Kato to be an unengaging protagonist. He felt weak and boring overall. And so the whole thing just felt like he was mostly ineffectual, and then the Wanderer shows up to fix things, and the idea of having him having a fight with Tamiyo was laughable. But they did deliver up that really cool concept of Tamiyo being completed. I was just like, whoa, a completed Planeswalker. This is something we haven't seen before. Cool. And it's like, we're doing this big, long Phyrexian storyline. And then you've got Capenna, where they just kind of shove it in and go, how do the Phyrexians tie in? And it's like, well, there's some statues around that are showing angels fighting Phyrexians. Elspeth actually turns out to be an angel. Here's a Halo sword. She's going to fight the Phyrexians. But it doesn't feel like earned. It doesn't feel natural because Wizards has to like truncate Elspeth's existence to make it work, right? Like that's one of the biggest problems I had was right away at the beginning of the story, I was confused. That shouldn't fucking happen. Like, you shouldn't have anybody be confused at the beginning of your story, but you sure as fuck shouldn't have somebody who is like so into what you do, like me, where to the point I've read a ton of the stories, I know the backstory, especially for the last X number of years. I've been deeply enmeshed in everything magic. It's what I do, right? So for me to be confused at the beginning of the story, I'm not a dullard, right? My brain goes, I know everything that's happened up to this point. Let's see where this fits into the pre-existing story. So my brain has this puzzle set up where it's like, okay, timeline, what happens? What happens here? What happens next? Okay, so it goes like this. The last point in Elspeth's story ended with her leaving Theros, right? She left Theros after revisiting it and casting down Heliod. She created the Shadow Spear. She turned the people's devotion to her. There was a planeswalker created in the Netherworld who was like designed to hunt her like a bloodhound. All of this kind of stuff, right? So you've got this layer of genuinely interesting concepts. And that's like another layer of frustration for me, is that the original Theros storyline, like the problems we have here are rooted across years, really, right? Because you have to look at the previous Theros story, and Wizards refused to release the Theros story. They paid an author to write the story. Think about this. The company that will foist any number of badly printed cards on us and not worry about it. Any errors, just sell it to the customer. Who cares? They wouldn't sell you the novel. You can offer them money for the novel. They won't let you have it. They paid to have it made. Most likely paid to have physical copies printed as well. And they made it disappear, just gone, right? They just deep sixed it and they were like, we'll release this story someday. Never. And then they just go, here's 16 sentences. Hey, what's up, Air? How you doing, buddy? And hello, Billy, Bob, and everybody else. If I don't greet you, it's because I'm kind of caught up in what I'm doing. I know normally on the other channel I greet everybody when they come in, so don't take it personally. You didn't do anything to offend me. I'm just caught up in my stories, and if I go too much off on the asides, I'm going to lose my tangent and my ranting, like I'm doing right now with this explanation. And then I got backtracked to where I was. This is why this is better to do it a stream, so that ultimately when I do the video, I can really be focused. So, Theros' storyline is one where you've got some really cool elements, but Wizards of the Coast just go, buried, done. We're not going to tell you the story. Here's 16 sentences. All of Elspeth's battles are summed up as she won her battles. Calix, the planeswalker who has a potential to be incredibly interesting because he's an artificial being. He's a construct made out of like pure enchantment essence, which is a cool concept. And they could have gone, Clothice managed to snag Xenagos's planeswalker spark, kept it basically on ice down in the underworld, and then wove Calix around it because it was like, no, Elspeth, nobody escapes the goddess of destiny. Even if you leave the plane, I will track you down, right? So you've got that kind of a scenario. It could have been really awesome. We don't get any of that. You just get Elspeth leaves, Ashiok goes into Elspeth's dreams, learns about the Phyrexians, and leaves to get the Phyrexians. That's what was supposed to happen, right? That was what we were supposed to be seeing, Ashiok and the Phyrexians. Who knows if we'll ever even hear from Ashiok again. We will at some point when Wizards needs a filler planeswalker for another set. When they want to do a greedy shovin', who gives a shit, take their money. Why should we make a story that matters? Because who cares? Is anybody paying attention? Yes, god damn it. Some of us are fucking paying attention. Me, I'm paying attention. And it's really annoying. And so, anyways, you have a summarized story. You have the summarized story. Calix just goes, I'm a planeswalker now. He doesn't have a spark because Clothice put it in him. He has a spark because Elspeth left and Calix just really wanted to follow her. Like a little kid who really needed to use the bathroom. He's just, I want to go. And then he gets a planeswalker spark and gets to go. For no reason. No reason. He's just, boom, I'm a planeswalker now. And then he planeswalks off. So, we've got Elspeth. She's created the Shadow Spear. She's cast down a god. We've got Ashiok. She's off to get the Phyrexians. Like, you've got major story elements. You've got Calix, an artificial planeswalker, who's on the hunt for Elspeth. So, When we catch up with Elspeth, what's going on with all of that? Who fucking knows? They're not telling us. We don't get to know. That's the deal. Basically, Elspeth is just in New Capenna. She's just in the city of New Capenna. They mention Calix in a sentence. Calix, okay, she's kind of worried about Calix, I guess, but is she worried about him following her to the plane? Because then why is she staying here for so long? Why is Elspeth staying here so long? She's worried about Calix. And if she's not worried about Calix, then why isn't she doing anything with her powers or whatever? And they have this beginning part of the story where when you're reading it, my brain goes, I see a Johnny, and I'm like, a Johnny? And I'm like, a Johnny and Elspeth. Where was a Johnny at the end of the... I'm like, my brain's going, second Thero story. Where was a Johnny at the... He wasn't there, right? I don't remember any sentences in that 16-sentence story about a Johnny. And then my brain goes, wait. And then I read more of it, and I'm like, they're talking about the first Theros. Just block. They're literally ignoring the entirety of the second Theros story. So now even the fucking 16 sentences we get are barely going to be mentioned at the beginning of this story. They will get a little bit of a nod later in a way that is just incredibly aggravating. Really, honestly, it just ended up pissing me off. There was enough cool story elements overall that I was able to find things to enjoy. And honestly, what I try and do is it's like I've got a sieve and I'm trying to pull the good stuff up so we can enjoy the story and get rid of Wizard's garbage story and some of the extra ham-fisted shit they shove in that thinks that they're gonna get fucking do better with in certain market aspects, but never works for them because they're clueless. They don't know what the hell they're doing, and it's all fucking ham-fisted. So they just go ahead and delete the Theros. The second Theros altogether. Just go, boom, that doesn't matter. Just look, a Johnny and Elspeth are talking, and actually, you know what? I like the interaction between a Johnny and Elspeth, making them feel like friends and whatever, and feeling somewhat humanized. It wasn't all just garbage. I'm not gonna try and pretend like it was, because if it was, I wouldn't cover it. It's like the Ikoria story. I refused to cover the Ikoria story in all but the most summary of ways because it was so incredibly insulting that the book and the story were directly contradictory. We have some elements of that, which I'm going to address and makes me really angry, but it's not like the Ikoria story where major, massive, super key elements are absolutely contradictory, where you have magic cards that show Luca and his cat as friends when that literally never happens in the story and the cat gets ganked. And it's like, what? You can't do that. You can't do that. But anyways, you start the story that way, and you've got Elspeth, and she's in New Capenna. And you're like, okay, so she's in New Capenna. And you figure out, okay, so it turns out that a Johnny told her about New Capenna. And I'm just like, your first reaction is, wow, a Johnny's a good friend telling her about where she's likely from. Elspeth is a traumatized individual. When she was a kid, she was essentially like a comfort animal for phyrexians. Phyrexians that had broken brains would be put in with humans just to, here you go, the same way that we'd be put in with a puppy, but phyrexians are twisted, so who knows what kind of comforts they get from it. But either way, right, that psychologically messes you up. So Elspeth lives under these conditions until she's 13, and then the trauma of it, whatever, something super traumatic happens. And then her spark ignites, she's flung through the blind eternities, and she travels around, but she doesn't know where she's from. She doesn't know her original plane, what it looks like in the blind eternities, or how to find it. So she's homeless in a way, right? Which is tragic, because she's already been through all this, and she can't even go back to her home. Now that she's powerful enough, she might be able to make a difference for the other people who might be living under Phyrexian rule, right? Think about that. If she's in a plane where there's all these Phyrexians and they were kept like this, then maybe she can go back and confront them and overthrow them and stop them or whatever, right? So a Johnny knowing the plane that she's from would be a big deal. You'd be like, whoa, okay, the plane that she's from, that's great. Except here's the fucking thing. It's never mentioned. They never fucking mention the plane Elspeth is from. We have been waiting, I don't know, only 10 fucking years to find out what plane she's from, and they don't bother. And it makes everyone involved look like an idiot. It makes a Johnny look like a dick. It makes Elspeth look like a moron. It makes us look like idiots. It makes the author look like they don't even give a good goddamn. That's how it breaks down. It is so annoying to me. Like, I don't know how to really, the best example I've been able to come up with to really drive this home, to not say the plane, is imagine you were in some sci-fi show or something like that, some sci-fi world, right? And you're from Earth, but you don't know it because you got whipped through a portal to some other world, right? And you've always wanted to know what world you're from because you grew up there for like the first 15 years of your life. Somehow you don't know where you're from because whatever, the world's like catastrophic in some ways, but you want to go back there. You desperately need to know who you are by learning where you're from, right? And so I find out that you're from Earth. I find out you're from Earth, and I'm like, I'm going to tell you. But instead of telling you that you're from Earth, I tell you you're from the world that New York City is in. And it's like, what? Yeah, you're from the world that New York City's in. What's the name of the world? Don't worry about that. Just go to New York, bitch. Oh, okay. So let me get this straight. I'm supposed to believe this fucking chick who's been searching for this plane, like, for what? I don't know. Couple goddamn decades? Whatever it is. She's been searching for like fucking ever, bro. Forever. And it's just go to New Capenna. Go to New Capenna. Doesn't tell her the plane. Or tells her. And we don't get to know because the wizard doesn't want to bother telling us. We're not going to tell you what the phyrexians and the rest of the plane are. We're not going to tell you nothing. We went to Strixhaven. At least they told us, hey, yo, this is Arcavios, bro. And the Arcavios was created by these dragons. And they were formed from pure mana, all right? And the world was built on this magic. And then the humans, they learned how to use magic. And they became too powerful. And the dragons realized that it would be an unruly and chaotic world. So they basically formed 5 schools of magic to try and bring order to the world. And that's how the School of Strixhaven was formed. How is the fucking city of goddamn New Capenna formed? Angels did it, bitch! Where'd they come from? Who knows? What's on the other 99.9% of the world? Who fucking knows? Goats? Phyrexians? A bag of chips? I don't know because they won't tell us. Don't worry about it. It's a stupid mobster set. And here's the thing that I bet a bunch of people don't realize and don't fucking get. There's 2 scenarios that happen with this set. 1, Capenna sells really, really well. And 2, Capenna sells like shit. If Capenna sells terribly, do you know what that happens? We never go back. So we might not even get told the name of the plane she's from, or Wizards will just slap one on at the end, because we'll never go back because Capenna failed. And guess what happens? If Capenna sells well, you're thinking to yourself, dude, if Capenna sells well, what they'll do is go, we're going to a different part of the world. Surprise, bitch! Nope! We're going right back to the city of Capenna. You know why? Because that's where the name recognition is. It's all about name recognition. Why do you think they turned Kamigawa into a cyberpunk set? It's name recognition. There's no, like, if it fails, we ain't going back. If it succeeds, we're just going back to Capenna. That's it. Going back to the city again. They barely fleshed out like 3 of the families. A tale of 2 families-ish. A tale of the big bad. You know what I love is when I don't understand the motivations of the villain. I like when there's a pre-established villain who's pretty villainous and then they just become, I don't know, brain damaged? Senile? What are you doing? Rare Crazy, the stream needs to be saved. You can show it to your friends. It's going to be up afterwards. This stream will be up. Share it with your friends. So, Nixilis. Nixilis apparently is like, bro, I just want to LARP in a pinstripe suit. Like, I can't figure out what he's doing there. It's like, Nixilis, why are you on New Capenna? They got this stuff called a Halo, bro. I love I love I love Halo. Like, God, come on, Wizards, man. They're like, Halo's everything, bro. You can you can go get and it. But here's the thing, bro. It's 100% safe for the kids. You want to bring your kids down to the club, they can chug as much Halo as they want. Does your kid want to snort some Halo? Bang a line, little Billy, because Wizards of the Coast certifies 100% for kids. They're sure as fuck not trying to have it both ways and going, this is an adult mobster set where Halo is rock candy. I just like the feeling of pop rocks in my mouth when I pop a cap off. Pop, pop, pop. Get the fuck out of here with that baloney. Do you know, like, you just go, you can't, man. You can't do me like this. So Nixilis shows up for this Halo, and the world's like running out of Halo, and it's like, so I guess he's all like, glub, 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 I love me some Halo. And then it's like, okay, so you want more Halo, right? Yeah. So you're going to figure out how to manufacture Halo because it was made by angels, right? No. I'm going to collect up a bunch of goons. What? Yeah, I'm going to collect low-level, no-loyalty goons from the different crime families. Why? Because Halo. So how do you get these goons? I give them Halo. So, do you want Halo? Yeah. But you give the Halo away to get weak goons when you're a powerful planeswalker? Yeah. And you didn't know about the font that's supposed to be the infinite source of Halo that the Cabaretti have because they just announced it? Yeah. So, why didn't you just figure out how Halo's made? Or, if you don't want to figure out how Halo's made, why don't you just go in and twist the heads off the bosses of every crime family and take over the whole city? Because you're, like, infinitely more powerful than everybody else on this entire plane, and there's nobody who can stop you. Why are you making the goon squad that you have to pay with the Halo? Why, what is your goal? Like, he doesn't even care. At the end of the story, Elspeth just, like, gives him a little zoop on the side of the neck, and he's like, Nelson, you made me bleed my own blood. Bye! And then he sleeps. And it's like, but, Nixilis, what about the pop rocks? What about the pop rocks, Nixilis? What about the Halo? Do you not care about the Halo? What? Like, so yeah, you start out and it's just like, go to New York. Go to New York. What? No, what world is New York on? Shut up. Go to New York. Huh? No, I want to go to my world. I want to go to my world. Okay. And like, imagine I did find, like, and now from Elspeth's perspective, even if Johnny did just tell her, go to New York, go to New York, go to New Capenna. So she goes to New Capenna, and at no point does she go, I just saw Highlander in the chat. Lena, no. It distracted me. The Highlander stuff is afterwards. We have to talk about Highlander too, because I saw it last night and my mind was reeling. But anyways, I don't want to get sidetracked. I'm too busy talking about this dumb go to New York stuff. So, go to New York. Imagine, she gets there. She gets to New Capenna and wants to know who she is. And New Capenna represents one small part of the world and literally has no alive phyrexians in it. And she doesn't go to any other part of the world. She doesn't go to any other part of the world. She just goes to New York City. Like, imagine if you were from Earth. Imagine if you were from Earth, didn't know it, and someone's like, go to New York City. And then your idea of figuring out if you were from New York City and this was your world was to get part-time jobs in the city. Because that's what Elspeth does. She gets part-time jobs and works in a laundromat. And then she ends up getting in a fight with Maestro thugs, and she runs away from them. And I'm so confused the whole time because she gets in the fight with the Maestro thugs because she's like in the back of the laundry and she's thinking to herself, all the owners of these part-time jobs are all dickbags and I don't like any of them. Everybody's a scumbag trying to get me to do stuff. And then the Maestros show up and are like, yo, it's time to shake you down. And the guy's like, don't shake me down, bro. And then Elspeth comes out, yo, don't shake him down, after she heard him trying to protect her. And they're like, shut up, bitch, or we're going to beat you. And she's like, whatever, waka waka, and runs out the door. And they're like, we're going to show you what happens at New Capenna. Let's go. And she's running off, and I'm just like, Elspeth, I don't know if you know this, but you have like a ton of magic. I don't know if anybody told you this, honey, but you're like a god slayer and stuff. Like you legit like took down Xenagos and like you destroyed Heliod through belief. Like you're an incredible force of power that like there are very few people like you in the entire multiverse. And you're letting 4 dudes chase you out of a laundromat? Right? Like, and there's no explanation for it in the story. They don't go, by the way, if Elspeth uses magic or something, Calix is going to show up and be like, and jump down on her. Or like the other people in Capenna are going to know. Basically, in like the 5th part of the story, she goes, now I'm finally ready to use my magic. And it's just like, you probably should have let us know at the beginning of the story that was the case. It'd be real easy to go, I don't want to planeswalk because Calix will find me, and I don't want to use magic because then I might tip off the families while I'm trying to remain incognito. But instead, it's just like, you get dumb elements where she's got a blade up to her throat, and it's just like, there's no threat here. She can planeswalk away whenever she wants. She can planeswalk away whenever she wants. But then she's like, oh no! And I'm like, I guess the author doesn't know planeswalkers can planeswalk away whenever they want. Except the next situation where there's a knife at the throat is when fucking Nixilis gets one to his throat a little bit to the side, and he instantly planeswalks away. And I'm like, is this a joke? Are you literally going to have Elspeth terrified for her own life like she doesn't realize she can planeswalk away in a second and then have Nixilis do it when everybody can do it? You're killing me. You're fucking killing me. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, come on, man. So Elspeth runs from these chuckle fucks into an alley where she's just like, I guess now it's good times to grab an iron bar. And she just grabs an iron bar, like, donk. Donk. And she just donks these guys. And then the guy in charge walks out and's all like, shit, bitch. You tough. What up? And she's like, whatever, man. I don't even need your nonsense, and walks off. But he's like, yo, let me holler at you, girl. And she's walking, she sees the statue. That's a phyrexian statue. What? And he's like, do you want to know more? Then come work for us at the Maestro Museum. Okay, I guess I'll come work as a cleaner at your museum. Oh, I thought you were like a powerful planeswalker. And there's like direct answers to the Phyrexians here. And you could just like power your way into them no problem because you're a powerful planeswalker. But, you're going to dust the statues. Okay. Oh, and whoa, they're going to move you up the upgrade chain. This is what they tried to do in the story. Here's the upgrade chain. Lead pipe in the fucking alley. And then do jobs for maestros. Get upgraded to a dagger. Got a dagger now. You had the shadow spear you made out of your own dream stuff. You're a planeswalker with crazy magic. You got a dagger. You got a dagger. You got a dagger. I need a better weapon. Gets a sword. This sword kind of sucks. They make a big deal about it so Giada can be like, I sacrificed my life in a very confusing way, turning myself into Halo, even though all the other angels were turned into Halo forcibly against their will. I have no concept how I'm changing myself into Halo, and I'm metamorphosizing your sword in an incredible what the hell ever moment, so that now you have a sword that can instantly defeat Nixilis. And by instantly defeat, I mean slightly nick him so he runs away because he wasn't there for any reason. He wasn't there for any reason. He was there for no reason. Why? What the fuck, man? So like Elspeth is just doing cleaning duty for the maestros, not using her powers, not doing nothing, complaining about not having a weapon. And I'm like, I don't know if you remember, but you're a planeswalker. You can walk to another world like whenever you want. Anytime you want, you can just go, whoop, whoop, and come back with whatever you want. God-slaying weapons. You got a fork I can use? I've got to protect myself on my way to working at my job at the McDonald's, where I try and figure out who I am and ignore 99.9% of the plane, where there might be literally people who are like part of my family or whatever being tortured by phyrexians. But it's okay, guys. It's okay. Because you got to remember that at the end of the story, Elspeth learns that she's an angel. She learns that the angels of the city were betrayed by the demons and turned into Halo, and that Halo is an anti-Phyrexian weapon. She learns that she's going to slay Elish Norn, essentially. She is the chosen one. You know, so she's going to take down Elish Norn. It's the destined showdown, the lady battle of the century. It's coming, so get ready, right? Like, all that is happening. So, obviously, now that she's sorted out this Capenna stuff, and this part of the story is done, now it's time to investigate the rest of the world she's from and figure out if there's Phyrexians there. She has this Halo sword, and if there's Phyrexians outside of there, then, you know what I mean? Obviously, go through with your Halo sword. Let me free you, other people who are under the thumbs of the Phyrexians in a horrific way. So yeah, that's... Oh no, wait, what does she do again? She goes, I've got my Halo sword. I read the histories. Come on, Vivian. We're going to Dominaria. Elspeth, you... What? You just found out you're an angel. You don't care to check the plane. You don't care to learn anything else. You don't care to help the people on the rest of your plane. You don't care about your own people. You're part of the fucking I gotta go and do the Dominarian resistance. What? I gotta get back to the gate watch and whatever. What is going on, Elspeth? What happened? You're supposed to be like a good person. How can you abandon the entire plane and not investigate anything else about yourself? I just gotta go. There's a Phyrexian threat that's looming for Dominaria. Oh, you better go and save the plane you're not from the Phyrexian threat that's not there yet, instead of the Phyrexian threat that's probably all over the plane you're from, that's torturing your brothers and your fucking nieces and shit, you brain-dead looby. Come on. What? You're just gonna leave? Story's done. She's not getting paid to write anymore. That's what Nixilis is like, okay, man, I'm done. Yeah, Elspeth's like, I'm peacing out too. Come on. Like, it's not... What? It makes no sense. And there's no angels in the story anywhere except for Giada. Giada is of angelic descent. How? Who the fuck knows? Who knows? She just turned off the lights and she glows to the extreme. She rocks a mic like a vandal, light up the stage, and wax a chump like a candle. Is she literally just glows? Because fuck it, I'm an angel. I glow. And Elspeth's like, you can see it? Yup. Okay, cool. We're angels now. Great. Also, the statues glow. But there's nobody alive in those statues. Why do they glow? How can they sing? They're all... What? Is Halo still coming from them? Make sense. All the angels were eaten up. Nope, but the angels are still in the statues. Oh, okay, cool. Well, and Elspeth is of angelic descent. Great. Why can she generate angel tokens now? Do you feel like covering that at all? Do you feel like covering that in the slightest? No? How about this one? Why are there fucking angels in the set? I read the whole story. I broke it down on Fantasy Geographic in an enjoyable way. If you want to hear the story where you can hear the enjoyable parts without the ranty bits, it's over there. But anyways, you go through the whole story. There's no angels. Kind of the fucking point, right? The whole thing is there's a doomsday prophecy. There's literally a fucking doomsday prophecy that Wizards of the Coast forgot as soon as they wrote it on a piece of paper, apparently. That we got a doomsday prophecy that we're going to run out of Halo. That would kind of necessitate being out of fucking angels, wouldn't it? But lo and behold, I look and here's some random ass 3/3 angel standing on the building. She stands still like a statue, looking sadly. That's it. She's always just been there. Oh, Oh, I guess I just fucking missed her, and so did all the demons and shit. And then you see the legendary angel, and you go, oh, wait, there's a legendary angel here. So legendary means they're a legend, like a lot of people know about them. So it's this mythical legendary angel that's in the city of New Capenna, where there are no angels, but it's there, and nobody knows about it, but everybody has to know about it, because it's legendary, and it has this big effect, and how, what are you fucking talking about? What is this angel? Why are there multiple angels? And then I see posted somewhere, and I haven't looked into it, so I don't know if it's actually confirmed, but people saying that Wizards of the Coast gave the answer somewhere, that, oh yeah, the angels came back to Capenna. What does that mean? Does that mean that the broker's prophecy is wrong? What does this tie into anything? It just goes, fuck it. We made angel art for this set and didn't really think about things. So buy the cards, dickhead. Buy the cards. Shut your brain off, shut your mouth, and buy the cards. It's aggravating, man. It's aggravating. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's just so many elements where you go, why is Nixilis here? Why does Elspeth leave? We got the Halo now. It's this anti-phyrexian stuff, which, I mean, I like. Let's do battle with Phyrexia. You could have just left it at that, but they couldn't help themselves. We got to put a Phyrexian Praetor in there, too, so we can sell that card in the set. Does he need to be in the set and actually add anything in the story? No. You know what? Just have him show up through Tezzeret as the bridge. Just enough to be interesting. All his flesh is gone. Vivian, get me a bottle of milk. Here's your Halo. Glug, glug. Okay, I'm healed. I'm leaving now. That's it, bro? Yeah, I just came to say, Phyrexia sucks. I'm out. And it's like, what? They dedicated an entire side story to that? Come on, man. That's basically a side part of them. It's like, what are you doing? It's like the main story. And you're just going to shove it in but add nothing. And that's why they put it in the side story. Because they knew it was nothing. It's like, oh my God, man. It's so annoying. It's frustrating. The cards are boring me mostly, it feels like. I found a few ones that were exciting. But overall, the cards aren't super exciting. Just a ton of people in suits and whatever. It's part of the world building, fine, whatever. But at the same time, it just all feels lazy. The whole thing feels lazy. It feels so slapped together at the last second and just shoved in there. I don't know, man. It's annoying. It's annoying. So yeah, I had a bunch of that rant energy earlier when I put the video talking about it too. It's like there's a number of points that frustrate me, but the whole ignoring the previous Theros story, like the way that Elspeth behaves, feeling completely illogical, ignoring the fact that planeswalkers are planeswalkers is so obnoxious in recent times. Like Innistrad was terrible for that too. I cannot get over how they handled that Olivia Witch thing where she just flies in and you're just like, there's a bunch of planeswalkers here. Any one of them is more than a match for her. And it's like, nuh-uh, because the story needs her to be here. And it's like, you can't do that. You're not allowed to do that. When you're writing a story, you're not allowed to go, this happens because the story needs it to. You have to put in the effort to write it that way. And Wizards doesn't want to do that. They want to put out a few little story articles and cards and stuff. And it's like, just... like, how much effort does it take to make that line up? How much effort would it take to add 2 lines to the sentence? There was 2 lines to the story explaining why there's angels. But they don't bother because they don't care. And that is like, that's really what it boils down to. Underneath it all, it's caring less and less. It's caring less about card design. It's caring less about card quality. It's caring less about story. It's caring less about the art making sense with the card and the overall cohesiveness of the cards. It's less about delivering a good experience to the end consumer. Look at Arena, which feels almost anti-consumer in some ways. It's designed to frustrate you into giving them money. And when Wizards makes design choices for it specifically, they're based on trying to give you just enough that they can take more money from you, right? And not like a business is supposed to make money, obviously. But when it comes to trying to make your experience worse to extract money from you, that is the worst. And it represents what's happening with the video game industry. And it's why I don't interact with a lot of stuff from that industry. It's just really frustrating to see Wizards of the Coast taking such a lazy approach overall. And the more they do this with individual smaller sets, the more it compounds the issue, right? People think that my issue is that it's not specifically adding to the fantasy element, like specifically, and making the flavor element that I want. I accept that there will be sets that fall outside of my flavor realm. What I want them to be is well designed and successful as Magic sets. I don't want Wizards to keep continuing down the lowest common denominator, cheapest route that leads to making money now, but ultimately is going to be harmful for the game. The problem lies in the fact that we're dealing with a corporate structure where the people who are rewarded for making the short-term decisions get big boosts in money for doing this kind of stuff to us. It makes sense to cut money. Like, if I'm only going to be with a company for the next 5 years, what do I care happens 10 years down the road? And if my bonuses are tied into making money in these 5 years, you better believe that I'll sell whatever you like down the river, not giving a crap, to make more money, because I'm only here for 5 years. 10 years when this place burns down, I'm somewhere else. Not my problem, right? Like, that is what leads to this kind of stuff, ultimately. And it's unfortunate, because New Capenna could have been more. Like, there are definitely some fun story elements. And I like the idea of Halo being made, like, from angels and being anti-Phyrexian. But they really didn't do much with it. And I really don't like how lazy they were specifically with not showing us the rest of the plane and just the city specifically. There is a lot lacking overall. And it leaves me genuinely unhappy with that. And overall, as I went through the spoilers, I looked at the stuff that came out today, and I saw the whack card, and people didn't really understand the point I was making with that. I think not everybody, some people did, but it's like Wizards of the Coast used to take great care with card design, including when you have names, especially one-word names, you have to make sure to put it on a fucking special card, right? You don't just waste those names because you have limited real estate in terms of good one-word names. That's just how the English language works, right? So they guard that real estate and use it like in a way that makes sense. But with this set, you've got the card whack, which people are trying to argue, oh, it's just meaning to hit somebody. And I'm like, it really isn't. The card doesn't do damage. It's a minus. But ultimately, it's very clear when we're talking about a mobster set and you're dealing with the term whack, that is to off somebody. That is literally what it means. It doesn't mean to hit. In fact, putting a hit out on somebody is to whack them. It is ending their life. So in every iteration, it's the same thing as a full-on destruction spell. And that's not what it is. It's not a destruction spell. It's not iconic. It's not a good card. It's going to be limited to this one particular set. And it doesn't deliver on the concept of whack because there's a ton of creatures that it simply can't destroy. And those creatures don't have special abilities. It can be something as simple as a 0/5 noodle octopus creature from the ocean. Well, it was just too tough to whack, boss. I don't know what to tell you. Like, it doesn't work that way. They wasted a golden flavor opportunity. Whack needed to be a straight up creature destruction spell. And the fact that they just don't care about making sure to deliver on the thematic and name promise of the card is just emblematic of how lazy they are. Damn it. After I fucking hear myself describe it that way, this is exactly why I should have done the rant stream first, to get it out of my system, and then I could have explained it in a way that is far more concise and clear. So going forwards, I'm gonna do rant first, video second. I did this in the wrong order, because yeah, there's some good points that I have to make, but they kind of get buried in the energy and emotion and frustration. The car, I don't know, man, there's just so many like cars and whatever. It's what are you gonna do? So yeah, there's a bunch going on. There's a bunch going on with New Capenna that I found really, really annoying. And yeah, I just realized today with the spoilers when I looked at it, I'm like, I'm not as hyped as I was. I'm actually feeling kind of annoyed, and I'm like, I'm gonna carry this around. The thing about this is I talk publicly about all the stuff that I enjoy or whatever, and I'm not just going to take the stuff that I don't like and only say it to people around me. Especially, I'm not going to subject Carly to an hour of me ranting about all the issues that I have with New Capenna, right? But it's just so absurd they should put in more effort. They're paying so much money for the artwork, right? They're paying authors and whatever, and they're just not putting that little bit of extra effort in either an attempt to save money or pure laziness. And it's absolute foolishness because magic is a gold mine. We are like, really, from a corporate perspective, we're chumps, man. Look at how frustrated I am. Am I going anywhere? Nope. I'm doing this because I want to get back to enjoying myself with magic and not having this frustrating me. I still actively want tons of magic stuff. Like, seriously, they're printing this cardboard. People are grabbing it off the shelves and they'll do it like crazy. Do a good job, you can do it forever. Stop doing this short-term stupid garbage. Put the little bit of extra effort into it, you know? Whatever. Anyways, I think that encapsulates the rant pretty well overall. So now I can get to that part where I address you guys, and we're going to talk about Highlander 2. Because holy shit. And by the way, the Highlander 2 I'm about to talk about is available on YouTube as a free movie if you guys want to watch it for the nonsense I'm going to talk about. Now, there will be some spoilers, but who cares? It doesn't matter. You can still watch the movie just fine. But I'm going to rant a whole bunch about it too. Not as much about Capenna, but still, you know. All right. Read the new Capenna story or eat more moon cheese. The Capenna story is fine. I read it. It was fine. Certain elements of it drove me crazy, but the thing is, there's still lots to enjoy. It wasn't like so bad like the War of the Spark story where I just had to go, no, this was so poorly executed, I refuse. You know? Dominic, why would anyone watch Highlander 2? Excellent question. I don't actually know. It was terrible. It was terrible. Wrath, you like my movie insights? Well, I got some for you on Highlander 2, buddy. I've never seen Highlander 2, and I realized it today. Or yesterday, I should say. So there's the Highlander 2, the Renegade version, right? That's what it's called. And it is bonkers. Like, absolutely bonkers. The first Highlander movie has like somewhat of a mystical kind of aspect to it, right? You follow the main character who is the Highlander, right? He's a dude from the Highlands. He's like a Scottish Highlander or whatever. Irish? Whatever. He's a Highlander from that part of the world, right? Part of Clan MacLeod. And he just finds out that he can't die, which is a crazy premise where he's just like, he finds out he's immortal. And it's like, wait, I'm immortal? What the hell's the deal here, right? Like, how am I immortal? So by kind of traveling around, finds out, oh, you know, he runs into like Sean Connery. Hey, I'm going to learn about being an immortal, and finds out, oh, you know, well, your heads get cut off. All these guys who turn out to be immortal cut each other's heads off. And they're all part of this big thing. You cut each other's heads off, and you gain their powers. So the power resorts into you, and you get more powerful until there's only one dude left. And then when one dude's left, then he's just like, you're good, you won, you're the thing. You can just be a regular person now, right? Okay, you can be a regular person. So the first movie, that's what happens. The Highlander, who's like just a Highlander dude, right? And I'm pretty sure the entire idea of the movie is just based off the old berserkers in real life who were like rumored to be so fierce that you had to cut their heads off to take them out, right? So that's just the idea. Somebody's like, imagine that. And it's just a fun concept's born. The concept of Highlander is a lot of fun. Zorp off the heads, gain their power, right? But then the second movie starts, right? And I found it yesterday in the free movies. And I'm like, oh, Highlander 2. I'll put it on in the background. And then I start watching it. And it starts out with Sean Connery. And I'm like, okay, Sean Connery. Like, if I'm not mistaken, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but he meets Sean Connery in the first one, right? And Sean Connery's the one who teaches him all about himself, and they form like a proper friendship. Sean Connery, he's in the first, or is he in the second one? And I have seen the second one, just not this version. That's what I need to know, actually, right now. Somebody clarify for me. Is Sean Connery in the first Highlander movie? Or is he in the second Highlander movie, and I saw the edited version that is much better than the crazy-ass version I saw last night? I just realized I may not be 100%. Sean Connery is in the first one. Yeah, okay. Sean Connery is like his mentor, right? And he teaches him to fear like the Kurgan and shit, and teaches him like we don't fight on holy ground or whatever. So they don't fight on holy ground. They chop each other's heads off. It's got a mystical, crazy feel to it. Like it's cool, interesting, and the unexplained elements are part of what gives it its charm, right? So then you've got the second Highlander movie, and it starts off with Sean Connery. I'm like, all right, cool. You know what? I really liked the interplay between Sean Connery and the Highlander, right? Because the Highlander's a Scottish Highlander, and what's his name? Sean Connery's like a Spaniard or whatever. And that was cool. I liked it. So when I saw him in the second movie, I'm like, right on. And then the movie starts, and he's like, he's got his sword, and he's like, we're going to figure out who the special guy is. And I'm like, what's going on? And then he's like, booble dooble dooble, points his sword at McLeod. And McLeod's like, huh? And it's like, it's you, buddy. Come with me. Something's going to happen. You're part of the rebel army. I'm like, rebel army? Chosen one rebel army? This is the second Highlander movie? What is going on? And then there's like a jar of goo or something, and Sean Connery's all smeared on each of them, and he's like, now we're forever bound across space and time, and you gotta just call my name or something. I'm like, what? I'm like, I remember that. Like, I'm sitting there going, I know I've had some gummies, but wasn't Sean Connery like his mentor in the first movie? I started to like go, am I misremembering here? And then I'm like, no, he was, right? And I'm just like, so what is this bonding process they're doing? Like, here you go, Zorp, and I'm like, huh? And then they get captured, and apparently they're rebels against the alien government or something. And I'm like, these people are aliens? And I'm just like, so the Highlanders are aliens, and Sean Connery and the Highlander are bonded with some kind of goo ritual, and now the government's mad at them. And I'm like, what is going on? And the government's like, rargle, rargle, we're going to banish you to the future. And then I'm like, what? It's like, we're going to banish you to the future. And my brain goes, okay, so the Highlander is goo bond with Sean Connery, the Spaniard, in the ancient past because of the... What? And then the guys who we're banishing to the future, like, basically say, as you know, we don't die unless our heads get cut off. Why are you saying this to two, like, fully grown 50-year-old men or whatever who would know this? Why are you saying this? And Michael Ironside's there, and he's like, I want to kill them. And it's like, no, you know we banish people now. And it's like, what? Yeah, we banish them to the future. And it's like, huh? 7 foot. Yeah, I mean, watch it knowing that it's going to be garbage. Don't watch it expecting something good. Watch it knowing your brain is just going to keep screaming at you, because that's what my brain did. I kept going, motherfucker, what? Like, I had so many of those moments with this movie, and I literally left the room for like 45 minutes too. So I missed like big chunks of the film at a certain point because I couldn't care. So you're only going to hear certain parts of the movie. Maybe I'll go back and watch the whole thing to do a proper review video for this channel if that's something you guys would like. But like, this is all stuff at the beginning, right? So it turns out that the Highlanders are aliens from the ancient past, and they get teleported to the future to play a game of beheadment, and then whichever one is left last can decide if they want to be human or if they want to be human, or if they want to be teleported back to the past and have their crimes against the government expunged, and also have their minds changed so that they have the proper religious thoughts. That's the deal. That's the deal. So the first Highlander movie is just now, the Highlander just beat all the criminals that were sent, all the government criminals that were sent into the future before. So that's what everybody was, but they didn't know it because I guess they wiped their minds or something? Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. But like the movie starts and the Highlander is like hella old and he's at the movies, right? He's at the movies and like this chick is singing and he's just like hardcore flashback. He's like falling asleep like an old man. It's like sad, but he's having like hella flashbacks and that's how we're learning this stuff. He's having flashbacks to a life that he doesn't remember or didn't remember or but now remembers or something. Like it, I guess at the when maybe they gave him his memory when he made his decision not to go back. I don't know. He's remembering shit he shouldn't be able to remember. But he's like at this opera house and then he goes to a bar to get a drink and some bitch goes bananas and like starts talking smack to him and he's like, whatever, like I don't even care, honey, out of my face. And she's all like, Baka! And takes a bottle and smashes it and like comes at him and he's just a super old dude at this point. He's like, what the hell, man? So she like ganks him a little with it, right? And he like gets cut and he's just like sitting there like shaking his head as she gets like taken out of the bar or whatever. And then he like then the movie gets even dumber. So Michael Ironside's still in the past, okay? He's still in the past, but he fucking hates the Highlander, right? So it turns out, by the way, the Highlander is not a Scottish Highlander anymore, but he's still called the Highlander, and I think they might call everybody Highlanders now or something. It's real fucking confusing. But Michael Ironside's in the distant past, like seeing into the future, kind of. And, like, other government members just want to be a dick to Michael Ironside or whatever. So they're like, yo, what's up? You know that McLeod guy you hate so much? Just wanted to remind you that, like, anytime he wants to, he can choose to come back. That's how the deal works. He can grow old as a human or he can choose to come back. And he never made his choice. And it's like, but he did make his choice to grow old as a human. And he's growing old as a human. And now you're saying he didn't make his choice. But he did make his choice. And Michael Ironside's all like, oh, fuck! I can't handle this, bro. Like, he takes the needling so hard. He goes ballistic, right? And that's when he calls up his fucking freak show cronies. And his freak show cronies have the spike jank on their heads or whatever. They're like, blah, 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 right? And they're just these ridiculous things. And they come out. And Michael Ironside's like, you guys, I'm sending you to the future. You gotta kill McLeod. And like, even when these are numbskulls, and one of them goes, why do we have to kill him? He'll be dead at old age in a couple of weeks. And Ironside's like, no! And I'm like, how did you ignore, like, McLeod's age, it's gotta be 30, 40 years. How did you ignore him for 40 years? And now you're throwing this tantrum. How does somebody who throws tantrums like this work in the government? How does any of this make any sense? From a reviewer, the Renegade cut has to make more sense than the theatrical cut, if only because it would seem impossible for it to make any less sense. The Renegade, why? There's a version that makes less sense? That's crazy. What up, Roughneck? So, McLeod, the fucking angry Ironside sends his two goon bags into the future. They appear in the future, and when they do, what does that mean? It means the rules of the Highlander games are back on McLeod! So guess what? Now he's healing up. He's sitting at the bar, and that little cut on his hand starts to heal up, and he looks like, oh shit, here we go again. You know what I mean? And then, and then he goes to leave the place he's at, and the chick from Crocodile Dundee shows up. She's fucking hot, man. I got to admit, like, that chick is gorgeous, dude. She looked great. I always thought that when in the Crocodile Dundee movie, when I saw her she was in this, I was like, hey, at least there's something good in this movie. So she shows up, and she's like, she's been on the news for all doing like eco stuff. Oh no, you're a bad person blowing stuff up and whatever. And so she shows up and is like, McLeod! Oh shit, I forgot to mention another ridiculous element. McLeod the Highlander. By the way, if you didn't know, since the events of the first... Jesus, I forgot about this. Since the fucking events of the first movie. Highlander the immortal dude who's chosen to grow old as a human has also developed some kind of cybernet that protects the Earth now that the ozone layer has failed. So he's just like responsible for one of the most technologically important things ever made for mankind or whatever. And this chick's like, I hate you. We can't ever see the blue sun because you build the blue sky because you build something to protect us from the ozone layer. And he's just old and tired. And he basically says, bitch, I'm old and I'm tired. I don't care. And he goes and gets in his car. And she's like, you ain't leaving. And then she just gets in his car too. And I'm just thinking, I'm like, he's old. Just leave him alone. Jesus, do your own thing. Leave him. But she goes with him. And that's when the two fucking loobies from the past show up. But they look all futuristic. I'm from the Matrix in leather pants and shit and spiky hair. And they have flying devices. One has like a little flying hoverboard, right? He stands on it. And the other has a flying little jetpack kind of thing with wings. So they can both fly, right? So McLeod takes one of them down, right? And then he gets on the hoverboard. And they have like the worst showdown battle ever. Where they keep cutting to the people, where you're just like, how long is the street they're going down? Like, they make it seem like they're in, do you know the Monty Python gag where they have people running up the hill and running up the hill and running up the hill in the distance, and it just takes them forever? Because it was like that. Is this supposed to be comedic? This is the worst. So McLeod cuts down the other flying guy, right? And like, now you just be like, okay, so has he... I think he killed both guys, so wouldn't that mean the Highlander games are over again because there's no more people? I don't know, it doesn't matter. So now Ironside's real fucking pissed. Oh my god, you killed my goons! Now I'm gonna come to the fucking future or whatever. So he shows up in the future, right? And he teleports. They just randomly, wherever they show up, it's just fucking random. I don't know how they don't die being teleported up in the sky or whatever. Because he got teleported into the subway. And the subway is below ground. How the fuck do you not get teleported in rock and die? Multiple people should have died through this shit. But everybody teleports just fine. Anyways, he lands in the subway. And he just beats up a guy because he doesn't like his goggles. And then he like stalks down the subway. And he sees a kid. And he's like, you're a little one, right? And I'm like, fuck you, you people, you look exactly like humans. And you all have aged. What are you, fucking birthed like that? Do you not? You know what a fucking human kid is. Go fuck yourself. You've been looking into the future. Fuck you for asking this kid this shit. You know he's a kid. And he goes, you're a kid, right? Uh-huh. You probably always wanted to drive one of these. Let me get this straight, motherfucker. You're not sure what a kid is, but you know enough about human kids and fucking subways to know that a kid would always want to drive this subway. What are you talking about? And the kid goes, yup, I've always wanted to. And he goes, me too. And I went, how? How have you always wanted to drive this vehicle from the future that you've never fucking been on or never encountered before this moment, you fucking idiot piece of shit? Fuck you! There's multiple moments like that. Like when Sean Connery gets teleported into a play and then he leaves the play and is like, I'm going to be going on a trip. And someone's like, oh, you're going on a long trip. I assume you're flying. And it's like, what? Flying? How novel! What a crazy idea! Gets a big smile on his face. I can't believe the idea of flying. It's like, let me get this straight, motherfucker. You come from the ancient past. The ancient past that has technology that is literally so fucking advanced that it can teleport you thousands of years into the future. You come from a society that has technology that can teleport people thousands of years in the future, keep track of them as they kill each other, and teleport them back whenever they feel like it on a whim. But you don't have airplanes. But at the same time, two people who came from the exact same place you're from have fucking airplane jetpacks and fucking hoverboards and are flying around. Fuck you! Do you know what I mean? Like, what? What? Sean Connery has magical powers to reverse the flow of time and shit? He shows up because an old fucking McLeod just shuffles down and Ramirez, my old friend! Ramirez! What is going on? Holy shit, I could not take that movie. Good lord. after he kills those goons, the Crocodile Dundee lady comes up to him. What happened to you? And then is instantly like, let's make out. And then after they're done banging, she's like, so when people, like, when you killed everybody from then you became mortal. But then when people come from before time, from the past and come here, then you're not immortal anymore. But then if you kill them, then you're immortal again. But then if they send more people, you're not. Is that how it works? Yeah, pretty much. It's like, oh, God. They tried so hard to explain everything about it. Like, they thought we're going to make another Highlander movie. We got to make it mainstream. You got to explain that they can only die when their heads get cut off. And you got to make sure they understand this. And we got to put all this. It was terrible. It was terrible. Oh, my God. It was bad. It's so ridiculous. The whole concept is there can be only one. It's the kind of concept that literally doesn't allow for sequels, but they're just like, yeah, it does, because guess what? They're aliens from the past. This is what the story needed. This is definitely elevating it. Terrible. Just terrible. Anyways, that was amusing. I had a good laugh at some of it, that's for sure. But yeah, you know what? At this point, that's good, man. I got my ranting out. So thanks for coming and hanging out, my friends. I'm going to get going because I haven't had lunch and I am hungry. So have a good one. Goodbye for now. Peace.